Hi guys, Genium here. I've got another 5 reasons on why you might want to work on your car. So this is reasons you want to work on your car part 2. The first reason I think to work on your car is it makes you bond with your car. Now I know this sounds funny, but unreliable cars are annoying, but when you work on the car it makes you feel closer to it. Even an unreliable car, if you work on it, it makes you feel closer to it. But especially a normal car, it does kind of give you a different bond when you've worked with a car. And I've had really, really good experiences working on cars. What I like to do now is I usually got my Bluetooth earphones, I'll pop them in, and I'll work on a car and I'll be listening to a podcast or I'll listen or watch something on YouTube, not watch something, but I'll listen to something on YouTube or something like that. And it just means that it's your car, it's your responsibility, rather than just being an appliance. I've had cars in the past that have been on lease, so they're brand new cars pretty much. You drive them around for 1 or 2 years and you get a set amount of miles that you can do on them. And they were fantastic cars, nothing went wrong with them. But I never really felt they were my cars. They were just like a transportation utility. It was like your fridge or your washing machine. It was this thing that got you from A to B. Whereas generally, for me anyway, having a car is an emotional thing. Like, I have a bond with my car. And I think that's because I didn't work on those cars. They were new, they were complicated. I didn't really, well, one of them was an electric one, so I obviously didn't really know much to do with that one. But anyway, yeah, you don't bond with your cars the same way until you work with them. So that is one reason. You have a better bond with your car. The second reason to work on your car is you're more likely to keep on top of maintenance. So by working on your own car, you're more likely to maintain it. We all know those people who say, "Oh, my car's, missed 2 services," and you're like, "What are you doing?" But maybe they don't have the money, maybe they don't have the time to fix it. Like, for example, if you're driving a car, usually a noise or a problem means, money. But now you can fix it. If you know how to work on cars, you can fix it. Usually when a light comes up on somebody's dash, check engine light, or service soon, or they hear a noise, or the suspension's clunking, to them they're thinking, "Oh my God, this is going to cost me so much money. It's going to have to go to the garage. I'll leave it. I'll wait." I don't know if they think it's going to get better, or I don't know if they're just leaving it until it gets worse. But because you can fix cars, you can say, "Oh, that sounds like a drop link. I can get some drop links ordered. They're only £5-10, depending on which model of car you got, and I can whip them off, change them, no problem. The service light comes on, you need to service your car, no problem. Easy as that. You get a check engine light, you can just run the diagnostics on it, see what it is, hopefully fix the problem. Hopefully it's cheap and easy, but you can keep on top of your maintenance that way. Instead of waiting on mechanics or garages availability, you can do it whenever you like. Recently, mechanics, just everything that's happened in 2020, they've been really busy. Some of them aren't at work and things like that. So if you need your brakes changed, your spark plugs changed, your whatever done, you could be waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks. And if you need your car and it's in an almost undrivable state, you're kind of stuck and you're relying on them. Whereas if you could change your discs yourself, your pads yourself, your spark plugs yourself, do the oil change yourself, you're not really waiting on anybody. And then you're going to keep on top of it. If you know that your service interval is 12,000, but you want to change your oil every 6,000, 8,000 miles, you'll keep on top of it because now it's no longer an expense thing and you can do it yourself. So yeah, you'll just keep on top of it. You won't let things get to the point where they're really bad. You won't let your cars miss services. You'll want your car to run nicely. You'll want your car to be in perfect condition. And you'll be able to get it into that condition as well, which is really, really good. The third reason is you learn mechanical sympathy. Based on the last 2 points, as you bond with your car and you're more likely to keep on top of the maintenance, you're also less likely to wanting to fix your car due to your own error, if that makes sense. So when you start your car, you'll let it warm up. You'll give it 30 seconds, then you'll drive off. Rather than some people, they'll start the car and they'll rev it straight away and they'll be hitting the red line and you think, "Oh my God, what are you doing? This car's cold." You won't drive it like an idiot. You won't clip it off, corners, or you won't beat the car up as some people do, because you'll learn that, if this car breaks, I'll have to fix it. And you'll also think, well, I understand how the suspension works now, or I understand how this works, and if I hit the curb like this is gonna bend the wheel, or it's gonna mess up the suspension geometry, or all sorts. you can even see when your old oil comes out after 6 or 8 thousand miles. I usually change my oil between 6 and 8 thousand miles. Um, you will never be that sort of person who wants to miss a service, because when you see how dark your oil comes out after 6 or 8 thousand miles, you think, well, if I let this go another 10, 20,000 miles, which some people do, I don't know how they do it, you'll be like, no, I'll never miss a service ever again. So it is really interesting when you learn that mechanical sympathy. You will be nicer to your car. And I'm not saying that you'll become one of those people who doesn't drive it past 2,000 RPM and thinks it's a Ferrari. No, you'll still use it and drive it the way you like, but you will just learn that mechanical sympathy. You won't drive your car like an idiot. Again, because if you break the car, you'll be the one fixing it. But that is actually a good thing. So on to the next point. The fourth point, and I think this is a very important point, is that you can pick your own parts. So usually when you go to a garage or a mechanic, they will pick the parts. So oil, filter, discs, pads, spark plugs, whatever, anything that needs done, they will choose which parts they will fit. Unless you go to a dealership, obviously, they'll fit OEM, which is arguably the best stuff for the car, but that is a lot of money a lot of the time. If you go to a service in a dealership, you can be talking, a lot of money, especially for a major service, depending on what sort of car you got, but still, it can be a lot of money. Most garages, or maybe I shouldn't say most, but a lot of garages, they'll use the cheapest oil, filters, discs, pads, spark plugs, and they'll also charge a markup on that too. So they might sell you the cheapest pads they can get, but they might sell you them for a not so cheap price. And I always find that if I say to the garage, I'll need discs or something, or let's just say one of my friends says, oh, I've got my discs and pads changed. And I'll say, oh, which one discs and pads will you get fitted? They'll say, just whatever the garage recommended. And I'll say, okay, fair enough. I'll look at the invoice and I'll say, wow, you got charged, a decent amount of money. And then the next time when it comes to I'm changing them, there'll be Eker pads or Mintex. Mintex actually used to be okay, but I don't really rate Mintex that anymore. But yeah, there'll be Eker or Eker Keeker as I call it, because they're Keek. It'll be the cheapest stuff a lot of the time. The spark plugs, instead of using, the correct Bosch or NGK or Denso ones, they'll use, the cheapest spark plugs you can get. And you think, well, why? It's not really that much of a price. But once you add up the markup on, you're taking cheap prices and you're making them a little bit expensive. So on that, on German cars, even actually some of the Japanese cars, for filters, oil filters, air filters, I like Bosch stuff. I find their stuff to be really decent. For fuel filters, you could use Bosch or Hengst, or Mann's very good as well, actually. When it comes to discs and pads for brakes, I rate things like Brembo, OEM's great. Techstar's good. I think they're OEM for Porsche and Mercedes. So there's a lot of good companies out there. But if you only want to fit OEM, that's no problem. You can go to your dealership and choose OEM parts, or you can go to eBay and choose OEM parts. But the choice is yours. You are getting to pick what you want on your car, rather than them just picking the cheapest thing and putting it on. And also, if you want, for example, some Ferrodo DS3000s, or you want some uprated modified part, that's your prerogative, and you can choose that and you can fit it on your car. You want groove discs, you want cross drilled discs, fine, no problem, you can fit them. Whereas if you go to a garage, 99% of the time they're fitting the cheapest thing they can, and they're charging a markup on it too. A lot of the time, if you choose substandard parts, especially like first line and some Chinese parts, you can fit them to a car and they can fail very soon after. To be fair, garages are usually good at not fitting the crappiest of the crap of things, but they usually fit things that aren't the best. For example, if you've got a Mercedes, OEM is Lemforder, and you can buy a lot of Lemforder stuff from Euro car parts, or you can fit Fabi Bilstein, or you can fit TRW, but the choice is yours. You can fit whatever parts you want. On Japanese cars, I like to fit a lot of blueprint stuff. I think that stuff's really good. But again, when you go to the garage, who knows what they're fitting? And certain things on certain cars, they need to be to a higher spec. For example, on Honda Accords, the lower ball joints, even blueprint ones aren't really great. A lot of people say you either go OEM or you go hard race. Otherwise, don't bother. These other ones will fail within 3 months. And if they fail, it can be a catastrophic failure. So choose your parts, save some money, and I think that's really important. You can choose your own parts. So yeah, that's a really good reason to work on your car. And the last reason to work on your car, and this is just a bit of a funny one, but you actually learn the difference between good and bad design. So you can see if normal maintenance in a car is a pain, or if it has any silly faults due to bad design. Like I said, that's just something I find interesting. But you know, have they put the filters in a easy to access place? Have they got silly faults, which means that something will go wrong, which means something will go wrong, which means something will go wrong? Like in the C-Class W203, if the drains, like the rain guttering fills up, it'll flood the fuse box. Like, who designed that? That's just terrible. But yeah, you can. It lets you, in my opinion, it lets you see good engineering and bad engineering, and it lets you see through, you know, the marketing and the hype and the gimmicks, and you can just see, well, no, this is a good design or this is a bad design, and that's why I like a lot of Japanese cars, and I like a lot of older German cars. When I see modern German cars, they're fantastic cars. Don't get me wrong, especially when they're new, they're great. But some of the stuff I just think, well, that's ridiculous. Like look at the BMW V8s. They've been leaking coolant and they've still not fixed them. It's just terrible design. Or look at the Mercedes 6.2 litre V8s. I mean, the head gasket bolts went on them and the injectors. I mean, just such terrible designs. But anyway, I think that's just a kind of a silly but fun thing to work on your car. You can see, you know, what cars you like working on and what cars you don't like working on. Some people love working on BMWs and Mercedes. They say, "Oh, look at this! You know, this is engineered so well." Some people will love working on Hondas and Toyotas and say, "No, these cars are engineered so well." Some people love working on French cars. Don't know why, because you'll be working on them all the time. No, I'm joking. I had a Renault before, and it actually wasn't that bad. Actually, I've had quite a few Renaults. I've had 3 or 4. But anyway, that's 5 reasons to work on your car. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, please, if you don't mind as well. That'd really help me out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.